This video could blow the entire golf industry on its head when it comes to talking about money. Let's get to the bones of it early in this video. Golf in 2024 is just too expensive, especially if you want to buy shiny, brand new golf clubs. However, that doesn't have to be the case if you shop smart and shop Costco. You see, unless you've been hiding under a rock for the last couple of months, you may have heard Costco have released their own golf clubs. They've released a Kirkland driver and Kirkland signature irons. And to be honest, for the price, they're absolutely fantastic. TaylorMade have taken, TaylorMade have taken umbrage with them a little bit. They have filed a lawsuit against Costco, we all know that. But today we're going to put these Kirkland irons to the test against potentially the most expensive hollow-bodied irons of 2024. Now, these Kirkland irons would set you about $499 or around £380, depending what the exchange rate is today, which I'm not too sure about. But these absolute beauties, the PXG 0317T irons, would set you back pretty much, get ready for this, £1,000 more than that. Depending on what shaft combo you went for, you could even go more than that. But I honestly think these are the best irons of the year. They do everything you'd want them to do. They are really, really forgiving. They feel fantastic. They look gorgeous, and they pretty much cover every base. So how do these Kirkland irons compare to the most expensive of the year? That's what we're going to test today. And I honestly think, the golf industry will be shaking at this video, for whoever's watching, because I don't think we're going to see a huge difference. I always think this, whenever I test golf clubs, cheap versus expensive, you have to really be some kind of player to start seeing huge differences when it comes to golf product. That was the Kirkland, that's the first swing of the day. I haven't even had a practice swing, how bad's that? But that was gorgeous, that was a really nice turf interaction. It's gone nice and far, it's gone straight down the middle. The one thing I'll say about them is they're not the best looking, and I have done a full review on these, so make sure you check that out if you want to. I've done quite a lot of Costco content because you guys seem to be really enjoying it, so if you want to comment below and say James is running out of ideas, we are nearly 2,000 videos in and we have 10 Costco videos. How's that? So, if we have a look at the top line of this Costco iron, I'm not sure if it's the best thing I've ever seen or the ugliest thing I've ever seen. You can see that it is quite a thick top line. There's quite a lot of offset on there as well for the 4 iron. I think it's just designed to be friendly looking. I don't particularly mind that too much because I think the people who are going to want to buy these clubs do want a club that is friendly looking. I mean, the branding on it is why is the branding so big? It doesn't need to be that big, does it? But anyway, you're picking it up next to the toilet roll, aren't you? So you're not going to be that bothered. And when we come to test these irons in the studio, which we are going to do in today's video, how much difference would you want to see for £1,000? Yes, I went and got fitted for the PXG irons, so there's that to consider, but that's just going to add to the cost as well, isn't it? These, you could just kind of pick up when they come back in stock after everything that's potentially happening. Now, I've not hit that one very well, and it still seems to have done okay. It's a little bit skinny, it's down the right hand side, it's still in the fairway. We're testing 4 iron, we've got the mid irons, we've got the short irons today, both inside and outside, so stay tuned for that. Now, how do they compare to a club that, let's be fair, costs a lot more money? Now, looking down at the PXG, I just think it looks delightful. I think it looks really good. Spoiler alert, PXG have nailed it when it comes to irons and drivers and 3-woods and hybrids this year. They're doing very, very well. They're doing very well. But how different do they perform to the Kirkland irons, you ask? Now, I'm really pleased I've hit that shot because it's exactly the same as the ones I've just been hitting. Not quite getting the turf interaction, not quite committing to the shot early in the morning. And that's what I think a lot of people struggle to test. A lot of people will go and test clubs when they're really warm, when they've hit 1,000 shots already and when they're swinging really well. I like testing clubs when I've done none of those things because I want to see how a club performs like I play when I'm on the first tee. I've just had a coffee, I've had a 20-minute car ride, and I've warmed up, I've gone, that's all we get. That is all we get. Right, let's have a nice big 4 iron now, off the bat. That's the best strike we've had so far, a little bit better turf interaction, nice higher flight. Definitely a different sound when it comes to the PXG. The PXG sounds more pleasing, if that is a big thing for you. I know a lot of people it is. A lot of people will spend more money just for the club to feel and sound better. I'm one of those people, I play golf for enjoyment, I want to enjoy hitting them, and part of that feedback is audio based. Now, ball flight wise, I didn't have an issue with any of those 4 shots. I quite enjoyed all of them. I think depending how the quality of strike was, the clubs have done really well. You can see that we have 4 balls in the fairway. Those 2 are 1 PXG and 1 Kirkland, and those 2 are 1 PXG and 1 Kirkland. Actually, the furthest one on the left is a Kirkland, the nearest one is a PXG because I didn't strike it very well, and on the right hand side the furthest one's a PXG and the closest is the Kirkland. So not a lot to go at really. If I was testing these, it's more down to my quality of strike here in this instance than potentially the clubs, but the numbers will speak for themselves, so make sure you stay tuned for that because that's really interesting. What would you do with £1,000 spare? Would you go on holiday maybe? Oh, holiday. So interestingly, when it comes to bag appeal, I want you guys to comment below and let me know what you think. Bag appeal wise, PXG or Kirkland, do you look like an absolute baller if you have the Kirklands because you're in the know, or do you look like a baller if you spent big money on the PXG 0317Ts? Because for me, I think the 170s, like I said, they're very, 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 very good, but they're very expensive. And if you're that guy that turns up with a brand new set of PXGs on the tee and you don't quite play that well, is it an added pressure? And is it an added pressure if you have the Kirklands because you're that guy? Or is it less pressure? It's got to be less pressure, hasn't it? Must be. So all in all here, I think we've got a good shot and a bad shot with both clubs, and they resemble each other quite well. So I'm quite happy with those results. I think you're always going to see a better shot with a better strike, and you're always going to see a worse shot with a worse strike. That is totally simple, and I'm amazed how similar they are actually, looking at them. So hard to pick a winner with the 4 irons there, but I suppose for the price, yeah. So now if we talk mid irons, this is where it starts to get really, really interesting, because you could, with the PXG, if you so wanted, maybe split the set. You could go T in the higher irons, you could go CB in the mid irons, and you could even go ST, I forget what they're called, but there's a blade and there's a cavity back, and you could mash them in. Obviously Kirkland, you can't do that, they're just box set it up with these Elevate shafts in. Funnily enough, I have Elevate shafts. How amazing is that? They can't be the same shaft. Not exactly the same shaft, but both Elevate shafts in these clubs. I didn't even realise that until now. How fun is that? But I must admit, I do think golf's in a great place at the moment when it comes to direct-to-consumer golf clubs. When it comes to more budget golf clubs, Takomo, Cali, Kirkland, we have the Seed golf balls, of which actually, if you look at what I'm using today for this test, I've tried to kind of keep it on brand a little bit. Right, 170 yards out, we're downwind, but it's uphill. We've got the 7 irons. I'm going to have to strike this really well to get it all the way there. Let's try and get... See, blade length for the 7 on the Kirkland is too long. I do think it's too long. I think they're trying to get a big audience with these, but it's going to do what you want it to do. Oh, I've hit that bad. That is right. That's that way. That might not even carry the bunker. It has carried the bunker. So forgiveness-wise, front to back, not too bad. Right to left, that is a shocker. But I think it would be a fairly simple up and down. Let's see if we can put a better swing on this one. The blade length's almost off-putting actually. That's a better one. Held its line a bit better. And that one's up on the green front edge. I think we might be a little bit far out here, but if we now look PXG, let's send these up there. Immediately again, better looking down at the ball, more aspiring looking. I think if you're wanting a club that looks a little bit sleeker, a little bit sexier, it's still a hollow bodied club. This might be the one. Stu's up there thinking, what on earth are you doing, James? Hitting those shots. Right. Straight away a lower flight, more penetrating, more at the flag. That one's a nice one actually. That one's releasing out to be a little bit closer. So I feel like I can pick the trajectory a little bit more with the PXG, even though the hollow bodied, even though the jam-packed of forgiveness, I feel like they allow you to pick a trajectory if you want to. Stu's not safe there, but we'll send one more in. Oh! So I'm quite happy again, that's hit the other ball. So quite happy again to hit a bad shot with this and test them good for good, bad for bad, because realistically, that's what I want to test. Let's go up there, let's see where they are. And also let's jump in the studio for numbers and see just how good or bad both these clubs are. So you can see forgiveness-wise, they're the two bad ones we hit. The pitched just on the lip of the bunker and came down, and the two good ones pretty much neck and neck again as John swishes that away for me. But again, both ever so slightly short. Probably picked off a little bit more than I can chew with the distance, but performance-wise, you get where you hit it out of. Let's test the pitching wedge and see how close we can stick it on a short par 3. So when it comes to the numbers for these PXG 0317T irons, and of course the Kirkland signature irons at a very cut price, what would you come to expect when you're spending this amount of money? And the reason why I wanted to do this video, the Kirklands against the most expensive, and let's face it, the best all-round irons of 2024, I wanted to think about what differences would you see not only out on the golf course, but with spin rate, with ball speed, with launch and distance. So we've got 175 yards to this green. Now that's a long way for me with a 7-iron. I usually carry a 7-iron between 165 and 170, depending on the makeup. Luckily enough, these are both hollow-bodied construction irons and both powerhouses in their own right, but I am going to have to get these really good. I'm going to have to provide good swings. So we'll go Kirkland first, and then we'll go 0317T. And I've hit that really nicely. Quite a firm feel on the Kirklands, especially compared to the PXGs. 166 carry, front edge, 6,400 spin, and quite a good ball speed as well. Looking down at these, and we've discussed this out on the golf course, I think they're good. I think throughout the set they don't look as consistent looking as maybe the PXGs or even the TaylorMade P790s. Bit of a touchy subject that, isn't it, for them at the moment, but let's go again. Can we carry this 170? I've not hit that one as well. It's more on target. That's going to be there, isn't it? That's carried 170. Go in. Oh, we've hit the flag. That's carried 173. Funnily enough, I didn't strike that as well, but it spun down at 5,500, so it's kind of come out a little bit more as a knuckleball, should I say. It was bang on line as well. I think forgiveness-wise with the Kirklands, you're starting to see some really good things, some really positive aspects, especially for that price, $499. Will we ever get to see these, or are they going to get taken potentially off the market? That's as good as I can strike one. I've pulled it a bit. This should be long. This should be a really good 170-ish carry, 173 carry. So all of a sudden, again, 5.7 spin, so you would anticipate one of these clubs to spin around 6,000, launching nice and high. Let's go one more, then we'll look at the 0317Ts. Bit of a mouthful, isn't it? But so's Kirkland's signature next to the toilet roll. That's going to be interesting because I've kind of come up and out of that one. That should be short. Oh, that, you know what? That had no right to carry that bunker. 165 carry, spinning at 6,000 because I just opened it up a little bit. Now let's have a look at the PXG, because the PXG for me are not only some of the most expensive irons that you will see, but for me, if you are mega serious about your golf, I think these are the ones I would potentially be looking to go for because they look fantastic. The fitting aspect of them is second to none. And if you have a PXG fitter local, I'd definitely go and experience it because it's a little bit eye-opening and it's certainly helpful if you're in the market. They look a little bit thinner as a top line, and I already know that they feel a little bit softer. I've hit that terribly though. Is that going to carry? That's not going to carry the bunker, surely. 160 carry, spinning at 6.9. That was a really bottomy one. So forgiveness-wise already, that Kirkland's starting to show some really good value for money after just one shot with the PXG. Let's go again. That, money can't buy that feel. That felt incredible. Go on, go on. Oh, that is a yard from the flag, that one. 168 carry, again spinning at 6.5, so spinning a little bit higher, which might rob you of a little bit of distance, but distance isn't everything when it comes to these irons. If you're wanting an element of control, an element of consistency, these could certainly be irons that you'd think about. Right, that's a pull. That's a pull and that's long left. Hopefully that doesn't carry too far. It's carried 169, so it's still a good distance. It's on the left side of the green. And for that to still spin at 6,000 is quite an accolade for this club, because usually with a hollow-bodied iron, if you hood the face a bit and pull it, then spin could drop to even kind of 4,000 with a 7-iron, which at that point it's going to go anywhere it wants to go. Let's go one more, and then let's look at the distances for these clubs. That's exactly the same as the other one I had with the Kirkland, where I get up and out of it. 163 carry that time. Again, spinning quite high at 7,000. And you see, a really interesting point for me with this test is if you stand on a golf simulator all day hitting different clubs, you will see differences, you'll see trends. If you hit 2 7-irons into a par 4 green or a couple of pitching wedges like we're going to do now, you might not see that big a difference, because this is where it counts. This is when you're under the gun. You don't see the difference in spin rate. You don't see the tiny difference in ball speed. Do you see the difference in pocket? Potentially. And we have to mention Takomo and Cali and other brands in this video, because they're doing a fantastic job with hollow bodied irons as well, and they're not getting sued. So maybe they're doing something different. So when it comes to pitching wedges, these clubs couldn't look any more different if they tried. You'll see that the PXG actually looks really, really nice. Looks more like a player's club, whereas the Kirkland does look a lot more forgiving, which I suppose a lot of people might want. We'll go PXG first. Quite a long way here. The flag's right at the back, so gonna have to try and attack these. But if that's the club, that's all over it. Be the club. Right, that could be very close. And it feels fantastic. Even off this winter mat, you still feel, feel a premiumness, which is a huge factor realistically if you are spending that money. That's a little bit cutty. That's going to be middle of the green. Try to hit that a little bit hard, but it's 2 greens hit, it's 2 greens in regulation. Let's go Kirkland. I feel like this will probably go further, probably spin less. It looks more like a brutish iron. Nice, just cutty. How do I cut a pitching wedge that much? That one had a lot of movement on it for a pitching wedge. Let's try and hit one straight at it this time. And I think the real winner here is the person who buys the club that they enjoy and within their budget, because they're 2 sets of good clubs, to be honest. Very rarely do I test bad clubs anymore. Oh, there we go. Again, moving a little bit to the right, but a lovely high ball flight there with the Kirkland. Let's get down there, let's see where these are. What would you buy? Let me know in the comments. So again there, into the wind, probably picked off a little bit more than we can chew for that back flag. 3 balls on the green and 1 just short to the right. Consistency wise, struggling to pick between them there really. Guys, thank you so much for watching. What do you think to these golf clubs? Would you have the budget ones in the bag? Would you have the most expensive ones in the bag? And how much difference did you see? I didn't see that much.